Democrat Party is losing voters by the droves. I mean, by the millions. They are leaving the Democrat Party and flipping to the Republicans. Maduro, he just activated 4.5 million militia to go fight against the United States because we put a couple of warships in the water. And college students, there's going to be a lot less of them this year on the campuses. You know why? Because the United States just revoked a whole bunch of visas from all those kids that were protesting. Stick around. You just might learn something. So there's an article that came out by the New York Times, and they did a study and they look at the research by this company called L2. They're an independent, bipartisan research company that started tracking Republican and Democrat voting data since 2018 or so. The 4 years from 2020 to 2024, there has been a shift of about 4.5 million more Republican voters. And in the 30 states that they actually track voter registration by Democrat or Republican by party affiliation, the Democrats lost ground onto Republicans in every single one of those states between 2020 and 2024, and often by a lot. That 4-year swing is towards Republicans in the tune of 4.5 million. That's a huge hole the Democrats aren't going to be able to get out of. For the presidential battleground states covered by the New York Times, they found out that Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania showed significant decline in the Democrat Party. In North Carolina, Republicans erased roughly 95% of the registration advantage that Democrats held in the fall of 2020, according to the records as far as the summer is concerned. In Nevada, the Democrats suffered the steepest percentage point plunge of any state but West Virginia between 2020 and 2024. The share of voters choosing to register with either party went down after the state adopted an automatic voter registration system, but the Democratic decline allowed Republicans to briefly surpass the Democrats earlier the year. It's hemorrhaging. The Democrats are losing people like crazy. And the reason why, because they are tired of the way the left has gone further and further to the left. Bill Clinton was like a little bit of a moderate Democrat. And Joe Biden, he was one of those too, until he got in office and they just kind of ran the show behind closed doors. People are tired of the DEI stuff. They're tired of the woke stuff. They're tired about all the agendas that are pushed into our faces. They're tired of the media telling them how to vote, what to do, how to think. People are getting tired of it. And they're leaving the party that's going more and more towards the left. People love their children. They don't want the government to tell them how they're supposed to raise their children. And they don't understand that. They don't. They think they know better than you do. And that's the problem with the Democrat Party. It's going to keep happening, and they're going to keep losing voters because Americans are tired of it. Why do you think they allowed so many illegals to flow into this country over that same time period? Do you think it's a coincidence? I think not. The Biden administration and the Democrat Party knew exactly how many people they were losing to these votes going to the other side. So what do? They opened the floodgates to our borders and allowed tens of millions of people to flow into our country to try to supplement the way the Democrats were losing votes. It's clear to me. It's my opinion, but it's very clear to me from what I can see. There's no way you're going to be able to convince me that the Democrats actually knew this data. They've had this data. They had it. They have internal polling on their own. They had the information, but yet they decided a long time ago that we're going to try to supplement that. We know we're losing our support in so many of the swing states. We're going to fix that. We're going to allow illegals come to this country. We're going to give them phones. We're going to give them Visa cards, and we're going to get them to register and vote in our party so they can help supplement that. That seems pretty obvious to me. But they don't try to fix the party. The Democrats want nothing to do to try to fix what's been going on with the country for decades. They don't care. They have no answers. They don't have anybody in that party that wants to step up and say, you know what, let's try to do something to Trump. Let's try to get along a little bit. They're not. So what do? They're flooding our country with illegals, and now they can't do anything about it. If you look, some of these get out the vote registration programs, some of these NGOs that were operated to try to help get some voting out there, that's been stopped. When the Trump administration shut down USAID, they were funneling money to all of these organizations. That well has run dry. So what are they going to do from funding? What are they going to do to try to get out the vote? What are they going to try to do to pad the decks a little bit? They can't. It's all over with. As they say, the jig is up with the Democrat Party. And they're not getting these people back. When people leave for the certain reasons that they're leaving, now there's a way that people vote left or right during an election, because they think, oh, you know what? I may be a Republican, but I like this person's philosophy. I like their policies. I'm just going to go ahead and vote for them. But the policies of the left and what they've been pushing and their agenda has turned people away to the point where they're tearing up their voter registration card as Democrat and going to the Republican side. Now, the Republicans aren't perfect either, but they offer a better solution, a better opportunity than what's been put in front of them with the Democrat Party. And that's why I think they're losing so many votes. It's becoming a cesspool of negativity, eroding our American values. And I think people are just tired of it. So the New York Times compiled registration data from L2 and compared it to the state records across the country to show the scope of the registration decline for Democrats, and interviewed more than a dozen party strategists and officials invoked in voter registration efforts. They all fell asleep at the switch, said Maria Cardona, a veteran party strategist and longtime member of the Democratic National Committee. But Democrats are divided over what to do. For years, the left has relied on sprawling networks of nonprofits, which solicit donations from people whose identities they don't need to disclose to register Black and Latino young voters. Though the groups are technically nonprofit, the underlying assumption has been that most of the new voter registrations would be Democrat. And USAID is gone. Where are they getting their money from? The border's closed. Where are they getting the voters from? It's panic mode. And the Democrats know that. Why do you think they attack Trump on every turn? Why do you think they sue every time Trump puts a policy out there? Why do you think they get on TV and these news groups and CNN, MSNBC, and constantly complain about the Trump administration? Why are they doubling down on getting the Epstein files released, even though they know Trump's not on them?
Enough with the hiding. Enough with the excuses, and enough with the cover-up. The American people deserve transparency. They deserve answers. And there are massive questions here, not just for the president, but for the vice president, the attorney general, the FBI director, and Republican leaders in Congress. What's in the files?
Because they don't have any other answers. That's all they've got. They're just trying to throw more gasoline onto a fire to make it bigger and bigger. But it's not working. It's not. The American people have the fire extinguishers putting all that flame out. And they don't have any answers for why they're losing voters. And now that the well has been turned off, the money's been gone, they have nowhere to turn. So they just do constant attacks on the administration, thinking that's another game plan that's going to work for them. And it's not working for them. It hasn't worked in the past, and it's certainly not working now. The Democrats need to regroup. They need to focus on their priorities. I don't hear one of them say, we need to make America first, guys. We need to put American citizens first. They like to tell you they do. They like to think to let you know that they care, but they don't care. Look, there's ones on the right that don't care about you either. It's very clear. But for the most part, the Democrat Party likes to tell you how wrong you are with things all the time. But they don't have any solutions or any answers for you. They just want to throw more money at it. But now that the money's gone, they can't even do that for you. It's very eye-opening that the Democrats have realized they were losing votes, and it makes me realize why they had the border wide open for so long. To me, it was very clear why they did it. So this year on student campuses, there's going to be a lot less students walking around. The Trump administration has revoked over 6,000 student visas this year amid a sweeping immigration crackdown. Around 4,000 revocations were tied to alleged criminal offenses like assault, DUI, and 200 to 300 reportedly linked to supporting terrorism. It includes some pro-Palestinian activism. You come here to go to college, you go to school, and you learn. You don't protest. You don't fly your country's flags. You don't keep students from getting to class. You don't destroy campuses. You don't set fire to things. Those are the things that aren't going to let you in this country. If you were at another country and you wanted to come to America, and when you filled out that application to get a visa to come here to go to school, and you said, yeah, I'm going to involve in protests, I'm going to burn the American flag, I'm going to not allow students to go to class because if something happens and I don't like it, I'm going to cause a ruckus, I'm going to destroy buildings, vandalize, you wouldn't get a visa. It's very clear. And the Trump administration is letting these other countries know, and these campuses, we're not tolerating it anymore. You come here, you go to class, you go to work, you shut up, and you study, and you play video games. That's it. You don't do anything else but that. But they don't get that through their heads. So now the universities are going to be paying dearly. Columbia University has to pay a $200 million payment to the federal government. And part of that settlement, $21 million, is to resolve investigations brought by the U.S. for Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. Yeah. They paid a big old fine for it. And what are they going to get in return? They're going to get their grants given back to them, which is fine, which I don't understand why we're giving these universities billions of dollars to begin with. And they have to do a whole bunch of diversity things. And these policy changes that are going in place are going to be enacted for all these universities now. Do you know that they only allow 70% or 65% of their students are from the United States? 30 to 40% of the student population on these elite campuses and universities are all foreign students, and the policy changes that are required as part of the agreement, Columbia has committed to several of these types of items. And these are reforms. The problem, people, is 30% of that student population comes from other countries. That's the way it is from Harvard, Yale, all these elite colleges. That should be 5%. The majority of students that go to these elite schools should all be from this country. They all should be from this country, but a small percentage. Why are we allowing that many foreign students to come here and you leave out all these other students that are from this own country? These are elite American universities. And things are changing. So the policy changes that the United States government has enacted to these schools, and these schools said they came up with these policies on their own, but they got to adhere to these. They're going to end race-based admissions and hiring policies. They're going to curtail the DEI programs that grant benefits based on race, establishing a liaison to the Jewish community, enhancing campus security, oversight of Middle Eastern studies, and modifying disciplinary procedures. These are all the things that they got to do. All of them. And if they don't do it, they're not going to get any money. Now, if you feel bad for these universities, I don't. They're reporting a 30 to 40% decline on their student enrollments this year. Oh my God, I'm so sad that you can't get all the foreign students that you had funneling all your money to the colleges and they can just run amok. Maybe you got to allow some other kids that maybe have an opportunity to go to an elite college or university. Maybe it should be American. I don't know. America First agenda. That's where I'm at with it. If you can't bring students in from the good old USA, then maybe you shouldn't be teaching anybody at all. You got to curtail all those woke policies that you have. You're there to teach people to learn, higher learning, college, not radicalize them. So I think the Trump administration is cracking down on these colleges and universities, and it's a good thing for America because Americans need to be the priority everywhere. Because the United States of America, come here, work, go to school, mind your business, don't be an asshole. That's all we want here in America. Nobody cares what color you are, what race, where you're from. We really don't. For the most part, the majority of Americans don't give a damn about any of that. They care if you're an asshole, period. I'm an anti-asshole guy. If you're not an asshole to me, I'm not going to be an asshole to you. That's how it works. If you're cool with me, I'm cool with you. It doesn't matter what color you are. And that's what the media doesn't want you to know. And they don't want you to figure that out, that we all just get along. We don't care what anybody is. So if you come to this country and you're on a campus and you're protesting because of war that happens in your foreign country, and you come here to protest it, you're gone. You're out of here. You don't have a right to be in the United States with a student visa. So that's all getting smoothed out. And Columbia and Harvard, they're all on notice. And there's going to be a watchful eye on these campuses from now on. And they're going to have somebody in there making sure they dot their I's and cross all their T's and adhere to the policies that the administration gave them, or they don't get no money. And the Venezuelan president, so to speak, Maduro, has activated 4.5 million militia just in case the United States invades them, which we're not invading them, guys. We're just sending a bunch of warships out there to kind of show some strength. United States is tired of all the drugs that are coming in from the cartels. And Maduro has been indicted since 2020 in a federal court. But we can't just go grab him because he's a foreign leader. Well, not really. We don't recognize him as the United States as a president of Venezuela. He is allegedly a drug cartel kingpin. He's perpetrating all the drugs that are funneling into our country, and Trump's had enough with it. You guys know Trump's never done any drugs. He doesn't drink alcohol. He has other vices, I'm sure, but those aren't one of them. And he's tired of people overdosing on fentanyl and all these other drugs that are pouring into the United States. And he expects these countries, presidents that lead these countries, to fix that problem internally. I don't know why they can't. They don't want to, because the guy's making millions and billions of dollars pushing drugs over here. So what does he do? He enacts the militia. You got guys that are in a pool hall. They get tapped on the shoulder like, hey, man, you got to go report into Fort whatever and enlist into the army. 4.5 million. I didn't know they had that many people in that country, let alone that much militia. You know, there are guys like running for the hills now. They don't want any part of it. And we're not going to war. We just got cruise ships over there showing a sign of strength. Because if we have to go in there and clean out these cartels to keep them from pouring the drugs into our country and killing our youth, then so be it. That's the way it's going to go down. Unfortunately, you got a new sheriff in town. He's a law and order guy. He's a law and order guy. You can say whatever you want about Donald Trump, but he doesn't want criminal activity. He wants the streets clean. He wants everybody off the streets. He wants you in a shelter, in a house, getting you the help that you need. If you're a mental illness, if you got a drug addiction, that's what he wants. You shouldn't have to go down the streets and worry about left or right if someone's doing drugs on the street, or you're going to get mugged or carjacked. Law and order. And it starts home, and then we spread it on the outside. And if we can stop that stuff funneling into our country, it'll make it a lot safer for everybody else. And it's work. Look what it's doing in D.C. right now. The numbers are very clear with Washington, D.C., and how the crime wave has just really gone down. It's overwhelmingly positive. You can see what's going on in D.C. The crime has gone down significantly. The streets are clean. People are posting on TikTok and social media accounts all over the place of how awesome it is to not have to look over your shoulder now when you're walking around the streets of D.C. and thinking you're going to get mugged. Trump is against crime. He doesn't like it. And what he's been doing in D.C. is working. It's a 30-day kind of experiment, and it's been working for that area of D.C. The crime has gone significantly down. Check out these numbers. Robbery is down 46%. Alcohol and drug-related crimes down 6%. Carjacking down 83%. Carjacking was that significant in D.C. that it's gone down 83%. Car theft is down 21%. Violent crimes are down 20%. Property crime is down 6%. All crimes down 8%. It's significant across the board. It's working. You got the governor in New Mexico declared a state of emergency. She's calling on the National Guard to help clean up the cities. Every governor should do that. So if you talk about Memphis or all these states that have all the crime waves in Chicago and Illinois, it's the governor's issue. The governor can say, you know what, I'm going to enact the National Guard. We're going to help them clean up the streets. We're going to get the crime off the roads by policing it the right way. But a lot of these states and these cities have defunded the police. And when you do that, crime goes crazy. It's a mathematical solution. Less cops equals more crime. And until they figure that out and start realizing that people just want law and order and they want to live in a country where they don't have to look over their shoulder anymore. They want to live in a country where they can walk down the street at 1 a.m. if they want to and not have to have the fear of getting mugged. Every American should have that dream. Every American, we should all be able to have that. But in this country, a lot of the city officials and the governors and the politicians turn a blind eye to it. They actually lowered the punishment for violent crimes. No money bail. They've allowed that to happen. It's just one thing after another, and crime just runs rampant over it. Now that we got a law and order president, it's going to start trickling down to other states. You'll see crime is going to start getting fixed. And once D.C. is handed back over to the Metropolitan Police, they're going to have a watchdog on them. They're going to be watched at. They're going to be seeing how fast they allow that crime to go back up. I hope they don't, because people in D.C. and everywhere else in the country deserve to walk around freely, safe, without the fear of getting hurt. Well, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit-chat, some observation, and some good old-fashioned conversation. Thanks.